Hey, what's going on YouTube? Alabama Reloader here. So today's Tuesday, day after MLK Day. Took off work yesterday. The government gets it as a holiday, but my company, we don't get it as a holiday. But since I figured it was going to be a slow day, I went ahead, took off work, and went hunting, trying to. Oh yeah, I ain't gonna be able to dump these charges one-handed. Just trying to get another deer in the freezer. I was unsuccessful though. Did have a good hunt. Sat all day. Went over to Vina, Alabama. That's in Franklin County, and went and hunted some land over there. Ended up, getting in the stand somewhere around 6 a.m. and then I think walked out right about the same time. It was a little after 5:30 p.m. So it was an all day sit. It was a good time. I really enjoy going hunting and just hanging out in the woods, which is funny. My wife laughs at me because she was like, "How can you just sit all day? Just sit." I don't know. I enjoy it. So, and that's what I was like. No food, no water, no nothing, just nature. And it blows her mind. She thinks I'm so weird. But today's video, we're gonna circle back and talk about 6.5 Creedmoor. Now, if you watch the resizing process that I posted, the video that I posted on that, it was really kind of twofold. It was to show how I resize pretty much all of my brass, all of the calibers that I load for. It was bottleneck stuff. I follow the same process for all bottleneck rifle cartridges. So go back, watch that video. It's also on Rumble. I don't know how much content I'm actually going to upload to Rumble. There's some things that I can upload over there that are more, I can like show full processes of certain things where technically I'm not supposed to on YouTube, like actually showing the end-to-end process of making ammunition. It's technically you're not supposed to do that on YouTube, and so I could do some of that over on Rumble, maybe show you the entire end-to-end process. You kind of get the idea. You can piece it together. There's tons of good content on YouTube on how to do this stuff, so it's pretty straightforward when it comes to reloading. But I just like to bring you along and kind of show you the results. So really, a lot of it's results driven, right? That's what I like to kind of show you, and especially in the case that this project that we're working on now in the 6.5 Creedmoor, I want to dive off into it. So go watch that resize video, and it's kind of like a two-piece video where we also kick off this project for my buddy Brett. He's the same guy with the 6.5 PRC, and so he has a Savage Axis and 6.5 Creedmoor, and he was like, he gave it to me at the same time as the PRC and said, "Hey, I want you to work up a load in this rifle as well." And it's not an issue, but what's really different about this situation is the optic that he has on the Savage. It's an ATN X-Sight 4K 3 to 14 power night vision / digital, whatever you want to call it, that digital optic, which is really weird to me because it's something I've never used. I've used a thermal before. That was a pulsar, but that's totally different. This setup is just very interesting and unique. It's going to take some getting used to. I had to print off the manual, the instruction manual, and it's like a 80-page document on everything you need to know about how to operate that thing. You're pretty much just running a video camera on top of your rifle, and it's very different. So I'm still trying to get used to it. I'm still trying to figure out exactly how to best come up with like a point of aim type setup whenever I'm shooting this target, because this is the initial velocity test I did the other day when I shot the 6.5 PRC as well. And there needs to be some type of contrast between your target and what your aim point is, or at least that's what I've discovered, because if not, it all looks the same, very similar in the daytime, and or at least I don't know how to get it to look any different. And so I can't just throw a dot like I would normally on a piece of cardboard and be able to tell the difference. There needs to be some type of color contrast enough to where it's actually going to show up. So this was sitting on a white target backer. And so all I did was I aimed at what I thought was about the dead center of the cardboard, tried to line it up best I could on each shot, tried to aim at just the top edge. And this is where we're hitting. So obviously we're low, right? We're a good bit low, so we'll need to make an adjustment up, but our horizontal's pretty much dead on almost. And so these were the 10 shots, which I'm actually pretty impressed that the 10 shots are even this close together, just because of how I was having to aim. But these are with the 140 grain Spear Gold Dot. So that's the bullet that I'm using in his 6.5 PRC and 6.5 Creedmoor loads. I'm just going to use that, the 140 grain Gold Dot, and we're using Vihtavouri N565. This powder may prove to be a bad choice for 6.5 Creedmoor. I think it'll be pretty good for the PRC. We're slowly working our way up to some interesting velocities that I feel like are actually worth something, because we started off really low, and then now we're working our way up, and we're finally getting up kind of to the area where it makes sense. If you're going to have a PRC, obviously you want velocities that are much higher than a Creedmoor, otherwise just go buy a Creedmoor. So we're working on it from that standpoint. But then also the Creedmoor here, the issue that, it's not really an issue, but this is just such a slow burning powder that look at the case fill. So this is that's 46.5 grains, and we're almost up to the mouth of the case, basically up to the mouth of the case. So that was what I ran into the first time whenever I tried to load these velocity rounds. And the brass, somebody commented, because I showed them the brass that we're using. It's got a star on it, but I didn't think it was Starline. This came from my cousin. It was some factory ammo that he had, but I didn't think it was Starline. Somebody commented and said that they thought it was because they had something similar, and they thought it was Starline brass. So if that is, that's great, because that's my favorite brand to use other than Lapua, but you pay to play the game on that one. And so originally I had started off, I was going to start at 45.2 and work my way up to 47. Well, the problem was right off the bat, I think I loaded up at 45.2, and I was like, holy smokes. I mean, the case fill was on up there, similar, not obviously all the way up like this, but very similar case fill. And I was just thinking, okay, there's no way that I'm going to be able to run all the way to 47. But we were going to give it a try. We backed it down a little bit and started at 43.8 and worked our way up to 45.6. And you can see our velocities, much like the 6.5 PRC, just kind of anemic. Even for Creedmoor, this is just, that's Grendel stuff, not with the 140 grain bullet class. But if you're going to be shooting 2,400 feet per second, you might as well just go buy you a 6.5 Grendel and be done with it. So again, we need to push this. This may end up being not that great of a powder choice. We may have to load these bullets extremely long, which right now we're at 2.75. I need to go back and measure this in the rifle to see where we actually start to hit the lands. I think I did before, and I believe we've got about, I want to say it was like 50 or so thousandths maybe. I'll go back and double check that. I could be wrong on that number, but this is an overall length that's performed really, really well in the Creedmoors that I've loaded with this bullet. So I just kind of stuck with that 2.75, and we may need to go longer to maximize our case capacity so we can cram as much powder as we can in here to try to pump up these velocity numbers, because this is, 25 is just not going to cut it. 42 grains of H4350 out of my Kimber that's at 2,700, right? So this is one of those instances where this powder, it just might not work. We may have to load this bullet so long just to try to get the case capacity and the powder, volume in there that we need to get the velocity that we need, that maybe we just need to go with a different powder choice, right? But we're going to explore it some more. He said he wasn't really in a rush to get this stuff back, so which is good because it takes me forever to get all this done. So I was going to try to start, I was going to bump up a little bit higher than the 45.6 since we know we're probably going to be shooting lower velocities anyway. I went ahead and started a little bit higher, I guess, and that's 46.5. So we'll see how far we can go. We might not be able to load too many of these to where we're just absolutely crunching the powder pretty bad, and case fill just isn't, it's not going to work. So I might be doing another video where I'm talking about, hey, time to switch powders, but I'm hoping that we can use this powder. I bought this 8-pound of N565 just for these two projects, so I'm really hoping we can just dedicate it to this. Again, it is a really slow burning powder, so it might not be the best choice for the Creedmoor. PRC, I think it's gonna be great, but so that's it. That's what we're working on. Yeah, you can see our velocities. We made it up. We made it up over 2,500, but then we just kind of became a little stagnant right there in between 45 and 45.6. We were just hanging around that 2,500 feet per second, so I'd really like to push beyond that. If we can get up to 27 with this bullet, just like what I do, you know, in my Kimber, that's perfectly adequate in my opinion. 2,700 feet per second with a 140 grain spear gold dot, that's going to kill anything he's going to shoot with it. So, yeah, I think that's where we're going to leave it. So we're not going to leave it there because Zach over at Quest for the Perfect Load, he is thebomb.com. I'm going to work on, I want to kind of do 2 different tests, and for some reason my scale has drifted on me, and I'm not exactly sure why, because I let it warm up. Let's recalibrate it. I let the thing warm up, you know, for the appropriate amount of time. It's like, I think they say like 15 to 20 minutes on, this is the Chargemaster Lite, which I did that and then calibrated it like normal. All right. But for some reason it drifted on me. Not exactly sure why. That's the first time that's done that, so that's kind of weird. 128, that's what it always reads. So not sure why it just drifted. That's a little odd, but so Zach, I was talking on a previous video, Quest for the Perfect Load. He's got some great content on YouTube. Y'all go check him out. But he makes custom 3D printed stuff, you know, especially around reloading. So he makes some good products. He had sent me a custom reloading tray for 308 Winchester, and then also an ammo box for 308 Winchester. Really cool stuff. I posted previous videos previously about that, so go watch those. But I mentioned in another video where it was like probably 1 out of every 10 throws, maybe more than that, maybe 2, something like that. I get either an overthrow. Typically it's an overthrow, especially with extruded powder, because when this thing starts to trickle, there's so much powder right here at the end that it throws out a few too many kernels, and then you get an overcharged situation. Well, I mentioned, I was like, hey, maybe Quest for the Perfect Load, maybe he could 3D print something for me. And that's what he did. So he reached out to me and was like, hey, saw the video, I can definitely get something printed up for you. So he actually made me 2 of these, and my plan is to run a test without it and just kind of load, you know, maybe 10 or 20, and then come back, and when I load up some more again, run it with this and see what the difference is. I feel like we'll make an improvement using this guy. Now it will slow down your powder dispensing, obviously, because you have a smaller opening, so not as much powder is coming out at one time. So that's just common sense. So it will slow down your dispensing just a little bit, but if you're having issues with that, this is definitely something that can improve that. So reach out to him if you're interested in that type of stuff. And he also sent me a shell holder, a little shell holder tray. So that's pretty sweet. I didn't even ask for this. He kicked it in, so I really appreciated that. That's something I can keep on the bench and keep my shell holders at least organized, unlike the rest of my reloading bench. So, but yeah, so that's it. That's where we're going to leave it. I just wanted to walk you guys through what's going on here. We're using, about time for a meeting. We're using Remington 9.5 large rifle primers. I was able to pick up 400 of these. My brother picked them up for me. I believe they were over at Van Sporting Goods in Coleman. He was out there one day and he found those, and so I was like, yeah, I'll use those for this project. So that's what we're using. We've got 44 pieces of this possible Starline brass that we're going to be using. The plan is to turn over 40 of them to my buddy. We're just going to have these forward just in case we stick a case or whatever, screw something up, right? We got 4 extras. But the plan is turn over 40 Creedmoor and 40 PRC rounds to him, loaded up and finished. So I'm going to do one more velocity round of testing with the PRC. And so I've got 10 more right here ready to go, ready to load up. These are CCI 250 large rifle magnum primers for that. But so that's what we're going to do there. Use same, N565 powder. So the next time I go to the range, I'll be able to shoot both of these, come back. I can show you guys all the wonderful little charts and graphs. We can talk about the velocity data. And from that point, we will probably be picking an area to operate in for the PRC. And then for the Creedmoor, who knows, right? We may get out there, shoot these, and be like, you know what? We just can't get to the velocity that we need given how slow the powder burns, and we can't, with case fill and all that, we're struggling. So we may just swap over to H4350. I've got an 8-pound jug of that as well, so we can just swap over to that. I know it's a good shooter, but it's a great combination with the gold dots. I've never had an issue with it in multiple rifles that I've tried it in. So, but that's where we're gonna leave it. We will catch y'all next time. Y'all have a good one.